Well, on today's video, we're going to be doing a review on a product that's quite a bit different than what we normally review on this channel. Now, what's inside this box is something that I've got quite a few uses for, and I think a lot of my subscribers are going to have a use for this. So today, we're going to be taking a look at this portable ice maker from Homevol. Let's check it out. Alright, so this is the actual box our ice maker comes in. So I'm going to go ahead and get this opened up. Pretty nice packaging. Alright, right on the top we've got our instruction manual. They do have this packed in some nice styrofoam. And we're going to take this protective foam off of here. And it does have this nice carry handle on here to pick this up. Now we've got some tape here on the front, which is holding in our ice tray. So we'll go ahead and get that off. There is our ice tray. And we also have a spoon in here. All right, so there's our ice maker out of the box. And now we're going to move on to the other box. And this is our power source. So we do have a cord. This is for a 110 outlet. And we also have a power brick. All right, here we have a battery charger. This also will plug into a 110 outlet. And then we have our battery. Actually, I should say we have one of the batteries. This is a 20 volt, 7.8 amp battery. That's a big battery. Now, if you look here on the back, it's got a power button. Let's hit that. Looks like we've got a full charge on that. So obviously this is going to go into our charger like that to charge it. This should be our second battery. Same thing. Let's see how much charge it's got on it. Looks like it's got a full charge. And that is everything in the box or boxes. All right, before we fire this thing up, I'm going to bring the specs up on the screen and you can pause it and check it out. It goes over the weight and the dimensions and everything of this ice maker. Now, I do want to stress one thing. If you do decide to get one of these, to make sure you leave it in this upward position for 24 hours before you turn it on. All right, so I got the unit plugged in. So let's go over the controls. Everything is right up here at the top. So what we're going to do is hit this button here in the center. That is going to turn it on. The light is on the unit. And if you look here, it says large. So it's going to make large ice cubes. If you prefer to have smaller ice cubes, then what you're going to do is turn the knob. And now we're on small. We can turn it again and we're on the light. We can tap that. The unit is still on, but it actually turned the light off. So what we're going to do is take out our ice tray. This is where our cubes are going to fall into. And if you look right here, this is a water level. And right about here is max, so you don't want to overfill this. Now I'm going to turn it towards me. I got a bottle of water. We're going to pour this in here. So I'm going to turn this real easy. And if you look, there's a ball right here. And that ball will start to rise as you're pouring water into the ice maker. So we're not quite at max, but no problem throwing a whole bottle of water in this. All right, now that we have the water in the unit, we need to run this through a cleaning cycle. Now it's real easy to get into the cleaning cycle. While everything is turned off, you're going to turn the knob. We're going to turn it again. You can see large ice cubes is flashing. Now the small is flashing. We're over to light, and now we're in the clean mode. And we're going to tap the button. Now this self-cleaning cycle takes 30 minutes. And after you're done with that, you got to dump the water out. And right underneath the unit is a drain port. It's just a rubber plug. You pull it out and you drain it. And then we're going to fill it up with water again. And we're going to make some ice. Now they're saying that this is going to produce the first ice cubes in 8 minutes. So I've got my watch here. It is 9 p.m. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn this on. All right, now it's kicking in. We're going to make small ice cubes. We got the light back on. I can hear that water circulating in this. Now the fans are running. It's got a fan on this side and a fan on this side. It's pretty quiet. It's only putting out 40 decibels of sound, but I don't think I'd want it sitting right on the table where I'm having drinks with my friends. I'd probably put it a little further away. But other than that, it's not too annoying. One other thing I want to mention, I didn't show you this in the unboxing, but it does come with a little tray. This actually just slips right up under here, and you can set a couple glasses there if you want to, or you can take the spoon that comes with it and just set it on the tray. So hopefully this fan's not messing with my audio too much, but let me give you a little backstory of why I wanted one of these. So back at Christmas, my mother-in-law, she actually wanted an ice maker that would sit on the countertop at their house. So we got her that for Christmas, and I thought, how cool would it be if they made one of these, but portable, and it could either run on batteries or solar, or plug it into your vehicle. And here about 3 weeks ago, Homevol reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to do a review on one of these. And I thought, why not? Because this is what I wanted in an ice maker. I want something that I can use here in the studio or out in the kitchen, but I also want something that I can take outside and use when I have friends over, or take it to the range. All right, it took me a couple minutes to get this up and going. It's actually 9:07, so this has been running for about 4 or 5 minutes now. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and pause right here. I'll wait for the first ice cubes to drop, and then I'll come back and show you how long it actually took. All right, they were right on the money. It is 9:11, and we have ice. Looks like it dropped 6 ice cubes. So, it's working exactly the way they said it would. Now I'm going to go ahead and let this run a while and dump a bunch of ice, because I'm going to throw that ice out. Now the reason I say that is I own a plumbing company. We hook up a lot of ice makers when people buy new refrigerators, and if you read through those manuals, they always tell you to at least dump the first batch of ice, and that's what I'm going to do with this. So I'm going to go ahead and get this packed up in the truck, and I will see you guys out at the range. All right, guys, I just pulled into the range, and we're going to see how this thing does running on the battery. So what we want to do first is turn this around. We've got our 2 spots here for our batteries. Both of our batteries are fully charged, so we're going to stick this one in here. Got our second battery. All right, I'm going to check power, and we are fully charged. All right, what I'm going to do different this time from what we did in the studio is I'm going to see if we can actually get 2 full bottles of water in this unit. All right, there's one. Our bubble is not even halfway, so we should be able to get 2 in here. That's going to be close. All right, I don't want to push it any more than that. So Got about a bottle and a little over 3/4 of another bottle in it. Not bad. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get this turned on. This thing's supposed to be able to run for 5 hours on these 2 batteries. And I'm going to be here at the range for at least that long today. Now it is 9:02 a.m. on a Sunday, so let's get this thing turned on. I think what I'm going to do this time is do large ice cubes. And we're going to hit go, and we're going to see how this does. I'm going to come back periodically and show you guys what kind of progress we're getting. Like I said, it's 9:03 a.m. All right, it has been exactly 1 hour, and we've got quite a bit of ice already. Pull this out and show you. I'd say we're about 1/3 of the way full. So we're just going to let it keep running, see how it does. All right, guys, it's exactly 11:03, so this has been running for 2 hours, and I'm quite impressed. We're almost completely full of ice. I'm going to go ahead and let it run some more because I've got plenty of time. I'm going to be here at the range all day. I just checked the battery packs, too, and they're on 3/4. So we've only used 1/4 of the battery in 2 hours. We almost have a full tray of ice. This thing's pretty impressive. Now, if you guys are wondering how I'm getting this exactly 1 hour and then 2 hours, I'm actually setting an alarm on my phone to come over and check this while I'm doing my thing here at the range. So I'm impressed. Let's keep going. All right, guys, I ran over time a little bit. It's actually 12:19. So this has been on for 3 hours and 19 minutes, and it actually shut itself off. It ran out of water, but it produced an entire thing of ice. So that's more than enough to fill up my thermos. All right, now let's check the battery. This is pretty impressive. We only used 25% of the battery in 3 hours and 19 minutes. I could fill this up with water again and make a whole other batch of ice. I like it. All right, I'm back in the studio, and I must say, I am quite impressed with this ice maker. I didn't have high hopes for this just because I've never heard of this company. It obviously is made in China, but this thing exceeded my expectations. I think the thing that impressed me the most was that this made a full batch of ice, and we only used 25% of the battery capacity. So in reality, this would make 4 batches of ice before you would have to charge the batteries back up again. One other thing I wanted to mention on these batteries is there is actually a secondary port right here. You pull that little cover out of the way and you've got a 20 volt, 3 amp DC input right there. Now, I don't know much about solar, but I'm assuming that you could charge these batteries with a solar panel as well. So let's get into my pros and cons with the Homevol portable ice maker. We're going to get the cons out of the way first because honestly, I only have a couple cons with this. The first con is this tray that holds the ice. It's a little bit small, but it also makes sense, portable ice maker. And that leads into the second con because this is a little bit on the heavy side, but it kind of comes with the territory. I've been working in plumbing and HVAC since 1990, and when you have anything with a compressor and Freon, it's going to have a little bit of weight to it. But in all honesty, it's not that bad. Now let's get into the pros because, well, there's quite a few pros with this. Number one, let's say you got a refrigerator at your house, doesn't have a built-in ice maker. Well, you can plug this into a 110 outlet and use it as a countertop ice maker. Second pro, it's pretty quiet. It's only putting out 40 decibels with the fans and everything running. Now, granted, I wouldn't want it sitting right on the table beside me if I'm sitting there having a conversation with my friends and having a few drinks. But you can take this, set it over on the gas grill, over on another table, get it a little ways away from you. It's still right there where it's convenient, but the fans aren't going to be driving you nuts while you're talking to your friends. The third pro with it, it seems to be pretty rugged. It's been riding around in my truck for a couple weeks now on the floorboard in front of the back seat, and it's still working great. And my last pro, I'm not a camper, but I'm sure quite a few people that watch this channel like to go camping. So with something like this, you can still have your coolers at the campground or your campsite, keeping your food and your beverages cold. And if you got a case of bottled water with you at the campsite, well, you're going to be able to make a lot of ice with this and not have to be constantly opening that cooler back up. So all in all, I think it's pretty awesome. Now, I will have a link to this. All you got to do is head over to my website and go to the weekly deals section, and I'll have it right there at the top. Now, as far as price goes, the last time I checked, this is coming in at $299, which me personally, I don't think that's too bad of a price because I've been using this quite a bit over the last couple weeks. My days at the range are very long. I try to get as much done in one day as I can, and I love having this sitting on the sideline, making ice all day, so I can keep putting ice in my thermos. So I really want to thank Homevol for sending this out to the channel. You definitely made me a happy camper. See what I did there? Well, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.